What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, all right? It is the 11th day of August here, and here we are with about 9 hours and 42 minutes left in the day. Pulling back a little bit, 119.9K. This shouldn't come as a surprise. We were expecting a little bit of a pullback. The surprise was how voluptuous this move was overall, but from a high to a low. And at the end of the day, that really shouldn't have been a surprise either, because we're balls deep in the bull market right now, baby. But here we are. Went all the way up to the 886, came back down. We're right around the golden ratio zone. This is the kind of area that you would expect to bounce from if you wanted to maintain a very, very bullish look. You're still bullish even if you go below there, though. I wouldn't, don't think of it as a bad thing if we go below the golden ratio. In fact, it's a very common thing to do whenever you move from a low point like this. Whenever you go to the golden ratio, typically you find resistance on the first time. Typically, right? Almost always do you do that. But in very bullish events, you do go above it. Now, whenever we go to the 786, 886, it's very, very rare to just keep pushing on, right? It's very, very rare to keep pushing on, but it happens. It does happen at times. Um, what you would at least expect would be something of a golden ratio retracement, which would take us back down to about $118,800, maybe just below there, maybe just above there, which, in all fairness, let's look at the 1 hour time frame here. We went pretty close. We're pretty close. I would think that we see more of a retracement, but we're pretty close. Honestly, it doesn't mean that we have to go lower, but I would think that we do go lower. Typically, right? In bullish events, this is what you do, and we are in a bullish event. But even in these bullish events, typically what you do is you'll go back to the 0.5 or the 382. Typically, right? If you make it all the way up to the 886, right? At the least, the golden ratio would be the expectation. Sometimes you stop a little bit above there, and that would be very, very absurdly bullish, and maybe we do that, but I wouldn't be too surprised if we carried on with this drop down to about 118.7K to 117.4K, or even at the lowest 116.1K. I don't believe that, really, I don't believe we'll ever see Bitcoin below $116,000 again in our lives. I don't think it's going to happen. I think at this point, prices below 116K are a thing of the past, quite literally. But it can happen. It could happen. We could go lower. Maybe we experience some insane volatility. If we do go below this line, it's going to take a little bit of extra time before we start moving up to new all-time highs. But this volatility right now is fine. It's very normal, and I would even say it's healthy, right? Shake out the weak hands, pile on the shorts. If you look at the last day of Bitcoin exchange liquidations, the shorts have piled on now more than the longs over the last 24 hours. There's a nice wall of longs to clear out here, all the way down at 116.3K, but not below 116K, right? Down around that 382 area, but not below there. That doesn't mean we have to go there. I'm just saying that there's reason enough to go down there, right? There's how many? Like $3 billion worth of longs just in the last 24 hours alone. On the 7 days, the shorts are still decimated, right? People are not impressed. Definitely a lot of longs to clear out, even going a little bit lower. We could go to 115K, but typically with these big spikes, you go right up against them, and that would put us right at about 116K, just above there again. You look at the 30-day time frame, and shorts have piled on. Yesterday I want to say there was, when we were looking at it, there was like $3 to $4 billion, but and the longs have de-escalated too, honestly, but there are more longs to the downside than shorts, and we're about to clear out an area here. So I don't know. Sorry. I still think that we have more than enough reasons to continue growing, but just for now, let's pile on these shorts. Let's move down a little bit and clear out some longs, but then pile on the shorts, and then we'll continue moving up. Monday doing the same thing that it normally does, and you know what? I actually want to delete this. This is something else that we were kind of expecting. I want to put some lines here. We'll leave this at the golden ratio. This one at the 382, because that's my lowest expectation, and then the 0.5. Again, if we go below the 382, that does not mean Bitcoin's broken. Okay, I think that'd be a little bit. That's on the levels of an intense drop, and anything below that would be a little bit too intense, right? But something in this area. If you look at these areas, the 382, perfect area to find support where we found support before. The 0.5 right here at prior resistance, prior support on a closing basis, perfect area to find support. And the golden ratio, not really in an area that makes sense, but it is the golden ratio. So Don't take that lightly. You know, that might be all we get. 118.7K, 118.8K. From a low to a high here, it's pretty common, and maybe we should look at the 1 hour time frame now. It's fairly common that once you interact with the 236 in this manner, that you will continue downward until you hit the 382. Now, perhaps what we do is we wick at the 382 and we come back up and we close above here on a 4 hour basis or a 1 hour basis. That could be a signal that we are ready to bounce. Alongside of that, there might be some other indicators, you know, like maybe we get some bullish divergence or other things, you know, it's very possible. Perhaps what we do is we'll find support here in this area, and then we'll move back up to here, find some resistance, and then we'll move back down. It's very common when working your way to the golden ratio or even to the 0.5. It's very common to go from the 382 to the 236 and then down. It's very, very common to do that. So don't be surprised. Don't get too excited if we bounce from this 118.7 to 118K area. Don't be too excited, and then don't get depressed if we reject back down and we see a lower low. Okay, it's actually very common with corrections to see a 1, 2, 3 correction. You know, let's layer that out and see what that would look like if we were to see like a 1, 2, 3 correction and it went down as low as I'm thinking. So let's actually do the most intense outcome. Let's just see what that would do. So if we went down to the 382, we bounced back, we found support or resistance at the 236, that would take us right down to the golden ratio. It would take us right there. I think that it would do that every time, right? If you take a high to a 382 and then you put it at the 236, I'm pretty sure it would always take you to the golden ratio. That's why that's such a common maneuver, because it's a 1, 2, 3 pattern. ABC correction, if you're actually looking for the formal definition. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit more convinced now, I suppose, that we do go to 116K. But either of these areas above to hold this support would be fine. In another sense, let's talk about this. If we do bounce at the 382 here, which would also be the golden ratio of the overall consolidation phase, right, at that white line, we find support in this area here, and we come back up and we close the day above the 236 or close multiple 4 hour time frames above the 236, that would be a signal, I think, that we've found support here and that we are ready to move up. That was it. That was the shakeout, and that we're ready to go. Just to keep that open as an option as well. Let's see. Looking at the indicators now. The 1 hour RSI. You're at the same area that you've been bouncing from. You do look absurdly bullish. Sorry. You do look very bullish. You are in that same area that you like to bounce from. If we go below the 40, I think that would help indicate that we are going lower. And I kind of do think we go lower. The stochastics have yet to hit the oversold zone. Even in bullish circumstances, you do get oversold once you're like this low. So it's not that you can't get oversold. I mean, you could find support here. You definitely could find support here, but I think you would go lower. MACD looks like it's okay with the idea of going lower too. Let's look at the 4 hour time frame now. Just see if there's any congruence here. Yeah, if I'm being honest, just with myself and with you, I like this 117.5 to 116.1K area. That, to me, makes a lot of sense. That doesn't mean we have to go there, though. And we could wick below this 116.1K area. Maybe we do see prices below 116K, even after that big speech or big point that I made. Maybe we go down to about 115K, but it's a very short-lived experience, and then we come back up. Regardless, I think prices below 115K are damn near impossible at this point. Anything can happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying like maybe a little bit below 116K, but for certain, or for damn near certain, 115K and below is a thing of the past. We'll see though. We'll see. 4 hour time frame here. Very bullish uptrend. Very, very bullish uptrend. Maybe we should have identified this. I don't know if I did. I think we did, and we thought we broke through it. That might have been why I was bearish here on Saturday. Little false move, little blemish there. Faked me out. That happens, though. That happens. Still higher lows, higher highs all the way through. You hit the overbought zone. Typically, these uptrends, they do end in the overbought zone with bearish divergence, so you might get another run here. And I mean, you're breaking out now, but you're at that same area where you had a blemish before. If I were to take this here, I mean, you're right there. You're right there, man. That's not even drawing the best. Let's see if we can get it a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty damn perfect to me. You're right at that area you'd expect to bounce. We do have 1 hour 32 minutes left. If you pull up from here by the end of this 4-hour candle and close green, though, you won't look like you're right against this line. So I think closing here or even a little bit lower is fine. But in this general area, in the next hour and 32 minutes, stochastics getting out of the overbought zone. I mean, you look bullish overall. You could bounce here. That's fine. You also kind of have an uptrend with the stochastics as well. Let's see. I'm trying to delete this. I just don't want to delete all the other lines that we have. Let's see. MACD cooling off a little bit, but it still looks very bullish. Let's see. Let's look at this here. Still looks bullish, man. You're at an area on the oscillator here where you've found resistance before, right? We put a line like right there. I mean, resistance, resistance, resistance back here. You've definitely seen stronger readings. It's not that you can't go above this. It's just, you know, you're cooling off a little bit. Might you find resistance? Perhaps your 4-hour time frame comes down a little bit and then you continue to run. Maybe you go all the way to the zero and then you continue to run. Something like that might result in the price going down to 116K. So there's definitely reasons to go down there. I'm not completely convinced. I'm more convinced now than I was in the beginning of the video that we could see 116K and even maybe a little bit below there. But the area that I like the most still would be probably this 100 and I'm going to say 118.7K to $117,000. Yeah, something in that area there, with a very heavy emphasis on that 117.5K. I really like that area in itself, but time will tell. We'll see how it goes after we've made our move down. After we've made that, unless, I mean, if it's already happened, cool. From a high here to a low there, we're on our way, right? Once we move back up above 121.8K, whenever we get a daily close above there, a multi 4-hour close above there, right, you can see that you're finding some turbulence here. You were wicking above it, but you couldn't close above the 886. You can see that there. Once you do move above this area, you should see, you know, 126K rather rapidly, 131K rather rapidly. I have a feeling, I mean, just looking at the liquidations over the last 30 days, this is the least amount of leveraged positions that I've seen across these 3 exchanges over the last 30 days. So that's typically what you need. You need these both shorts and longs to get flushed out before you really move up higher, right? When everybody's done trading, because whenever everybody's trading, you're in a trading range. Whenever you're done trading, there's money to be made, right? So whenever you're done trading, there's reasons to move up higher until these positions get stacked back on, and then yeah, then some tomfoolery happens. There are a lot of shorts that are still to be cleared out at about $126,000, $125,000. And with that, you know, maybe we would also see some deleveraging of longs too, because of double top potential, whatever. I very much think that we could run up to about like just a slightly higher, in that sense, in that kind of context. Our all-time high is at 123K. We could run up to a slightly higher high at 125K, 126K, right? And then kind of consolidate, do that thing. Bitcoin's been doing that a lot, right? Where we'll get this slightly lower high here, or even here we'll get a slightly higher high, and then we'll start to consolidate. Even here we'll get a slightly higher high and start to consolidate, right? So it wouldn't surprise me too much if that's exactly what we did here. Consolidate some more, back test this area for support, and then we really get ripping and running. But even a move like that, you know, from a high to a low here, it would take you right up against your 1272. Maybe you even go a little step further, or you just barely break that. But one way or another, my friends, we are definitely on our way to higher prices. Just momentarily, I think we have a little bit of a pullback. So it is Monday, and that's what I was going to say. I actually got distracted with that. Mondays, you know, we're doing the exact same thing we've done every Sunday and Monday, man. It's very similar, right? Sunday pump, and that was a big Sunday pump, actually. That was the biggest Sunday pump we've had in a little while. Monday, you have a little continuation of that pump, and then you dump back down. You know, Sunday last week we pumped. Monday you pumped as well, and then you had a tip, and then you came back down. Tuesday you actually followed through with that downward price action. Sunday you pumped. Monday you dumped here. Sunday you dumped here. Monday you pumped up, and then you came back down as well. So, and then here at the top, that was a Monday pump, and then you came back down. So these Mondays are very volatile for whatever reason. That's just something that we've been seeing. But just because we've been doing that, we have been doing that for quite some time, and I think people are catching on. With this kind of look right now, if we got enough time left in the day, we could pull a curveball and just come all the way back up. So again, there's no promises There's no promises. Anybody who's thinking about shorting here, anybody that's considering selling or waiting to buy, there's no promises that the price will go lower. We really could find support here. But if I had to guess, I would think that we go a little bit lower. I mean, yeah, we got the trend line of deception and fall did not help us out that one time over here. I guess it technically still worked, but it just didn't work where I thought it would. If we look at this from a low to a low here, connecting the dots, right? You did find support below the line. I just thought we were going to do that back here, so it didn't go as low as I thought it would, but then we continued to rally. We've kind of got a trend line here. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, the diagonal lines, typically you do find support below them, not on them, right? You maybe get 1, 2 touch points, and then the third touch point you come down. Maybe you get 3, and then the fourth touch point you come down. But one way or another, I would expect to go a little bit below this trend line. That'll probably be the signal that we're at our low. And if that's the case from here, maybe we don't go too much lower. I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. But I am still expecting. I'm going to call for 116 to 100 and was it 118.7K, 118.8K, specifically at that 117.5K area. That's where I think we'll go. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.